They talk about the boom, but do they mention the bust? The headlines scream luxury, but the numbers don't lie. It's time to look the market straight in the eye.
Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope, and the range.
With Peter Zalewski, the authority here, making the complex simple, making the murky clear. From the buy-side pressure to the sell-side heat, we're tracking every move on the concrete street. We got the data, the stats, the metrics you need. Beyond the flash and the glamour, we're planting the seed of truth. We analyze the trends, we map out the spread. Is it vintage charm or a money pit trap? We're looking at the analytics, closing the gap. Past performance, present shock, future prediction. Separating hard reality from the friction of fiction. No sugarcoating, no fluff, no disguise. Just the raw condo numbers right before your eyes. South Florida is shifting, the tides start to turn. If you don't know the math, you're gonna get burned. Yeah, this is the Miami Condo Exchange.
Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope, and the range.
With Peter Zalewski, keeping it real, digging deep in the dirt of every single deal. From the buy-side pressure to the sell-side heat, the only podcast you need on the Miami street. Hey.
Real numbers, real talk.
The hyperbole stops here. This is the Miami Condo.
Condo Exchange, y'all.
Happy Tuesday, Miami. It's Miami Condo Exchange, a conversation about what's going on statistically the Tri-County, South Florida area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Today, we're talking about the summer buying season, that period of time that goes from May through October. We're going to be pinning it to the South Florida Condo Cliff Index, both the overall as well as the vintage. And what I can tell you, going into the summer buying season, which typically is a time when a lot of deals that were identified during the winter buying season of November through April, what we're seeing week one is that red across the board. Everything is pulling back. The overall index, South Florida Condo Association Financial Cliff Index, pulled back about 2.2%. And if you look at the vintage index, which pertains to those condos that are at least 30 years older, it's pulled back 1.8%. Why are the indices, both overall as well as vintage, why are they down in the first week of the summer buying season? Because pending sales have dropped twice as much as what we saw in the active listings. Generally speaking, active listings are down and pending sales are down even more proportionally. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to lay it all out. We're going to give you pricing, tell you what's going on in the pricing right now in the Tri-County, South Florida area, give you a general overview as to where we are effectively in week 18 of 2026. But more importantly, the first week of the summer buying season. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I do a podcast every weekday, 4 o'clock. It is a live stream. So if you tune in to miamicondo.club, you can watch it for free, or you can see it on some of our social media sites. After the podcast is over, we are trying to get up our edited versions of the podcast. And what do I mean by edited? We're working on audio as well as putting in a template in terms of the look and the feel of the podcast. But we're trying to get it up roughly in about a half an hour or so after the podcast is. And the goal is, if you are a commuter, if maybe you finished up at the office, you're on your way home, you're in the car, maybe you're on the train, maybe you're cooking, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're whatever. You can get condo information every weekday. Ideally, we start the podcast at 4 o'clock, but it is Miami, so sometimes we're a little bit behind. And once we get it done, 30 minutes after the fact, after the podcast concludes, we'll make it available for you to listen or to watch. Again, if you're watching it live, you can you take it in at 4 o'clock when we start. If you're going to see it on demand, you will need to be a member of the Miami Condo Investing Club. What is the Miami Condo Investing Club? It is a community that we're building. We started back in 2024 to try to create a community, an ecosystem, if you will, for those people who are looking for information on the condo market. Straightforward talk, not the type of Chamber of Commerce gibberish, I would say, that you get, or the promotional gibberish, I would say. You're getting out of the sell side industry, which believes that trees grow to the moon, 1,000 people a day are coming to Florida, and we're the gateway to Latin America, even though there's a lot of information that contradicts that. What do I mean by that? Latest population data numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau showed that Tri-County area lost 67,000 people as of July of 2025. Those are the latest numbers, but they pertain to July 2025. Down 67,000 people. How do you got 1,000 people a day moving to Florida? And a good portion of them coming to South Florida. If you actually had a contraction in the population, well, some people would argue maybe they're moving up to the Treasure Coast, they're moving to Orlando, they're moving whatever, but that's point one. Gateway to Latin America. We are the gateway to Latin America. Yet international passenger traffic. What happens with Miami International Airport? It's down 1.25% in 2025. Only the fourth time, basically in the 2000s. The 21st century that international passenger traffic was down to Miami International Airport. When was the last time? The pandemic year of 2020. So we might be a critical part, but I don't know if we still have that dominance based on the numbers. These are the types of stories, these are the type of information we're tracking to give you an idea what to do in the condo market. We'll lay it all out there, give you straight talk, no sugarcoating, and you can do with it whatever you want. So it doesn't matter if you were a buyer, DIY, or doing it on your own. Maybe you're a buyer working with a broker. Maybe you are a listing agent. You can't peddle that product. You're trying to sell it. It's not selling. You're looking at all the data. It's not making sense. Why isn't anybody picking it off? Well, maybe the club could be a resource for you. You could be a lender. Should I put money on the street? Maybe you're a correspondent lender. Maybe you're lending out, your own money, that type of stuff. We're giving you straight talk about the condo community. And ultimately, 5 days a week, you're going to be able to tune in and get a podcast from us talking about condos, Tri-County wide, 4 o'clock live. And then after half an hour after the podcast is over, we'll make it available on demand. And if you want more information on the club, go to miamicondo.club. One other tidbit, or actually two other tidbits related to the club. Once a month, I do a monthly meeting. I tell you, where are we in the marketplace? Where are we going? I always do it on the second Wednesday of every month. For the last 2 years, I've done it at noon. We've now made a pivot for the summer. We're in the summer buying season right now of May through October. We made a pivot. We're going to be doing it at 4 o'clock. So as part of our 4 o'clock podcast that we do weekdays, we're now going to swap out once a month. We're going to swap out our condo capitalism program, which is about the distress market. We're going to replace it with the monthly meeting. So as a club member, you get access to all of that, all the details involved with that. In terms of our base case, we're going to be announcing our base case for the summer buying season on our next monthly meeting, which will be going on May the 13th at 4 o'clock. You get exclusive access to be able to tap into that. And then again, after the fact, you can see it on demand. Another thing you're going to be getting real soon, if you're a club member, you're going to get access to our newly launched condo ratings agency, something that's been in the works for 15 years to identify the economic feasibility of condo associations. I'm not talking about the look of the lobby, the nice air freshener they might be putting in there, the art on the wall. I'm talking about, is the building actually stable? Is it feasible? Is it viable? We'll be coming out. We're going to be rating associations, association by association by association. Keep in mind, 13,000 condo associations, Tri-County area, 610,000 units. How do you differentiate one project from another? Well, a lot of people rely on comparables. They look at a comparable in this building versus that building versus that building versus this building. Well, it could be a little bit different. Building by building by building is really kind of how you have to look at that. Look at each individual building as its own entity and then evaluate it that way. That's where we're going to be doing in terms of the condo associations. Name of the entity is called Condo Ratings Agency. We're kind of using as our template, if you will, everything that goes on Wall Street, whether it's Moody's, it is Fitch, it is S&P. We're going to be doing the same thing for condo associations. So as a club member, you will get access to the condo rating agency as we start to roll it out. The goal is to have it all up and operational, full steam ahead by the winter buying season, which begins in November. Something we've been thinking about for 15 years, goes all the way back to 2009, 2010, when a lender approached me about trying to figure out a way how to understand their portfolio loans, meaning if a lender provided cash, provided financing to somebody, and it wasn't conventional, couldn't be sold on secondary market, the bank had to sit on it. Now, why would a bank sort of do that for a mortgage? They did it because they didn't want to trust, or they didn't trust that the client would go somewhere else, and that somewhere else would ultimately try to poach their business. So banks will put money on the street, they will finance something, and then they'll hold a loan. And when they go ahead, they do their underwriting. What do they get back? They get a condo questionnaire. I joked at the time with the banker, and I continue to tell the story today. The person filling out the condo questionnaire, they're not necessarily worried about accuracy. The truth is not their driving model. I mean, they might have been out boozing the night before. They come in, they fill out the form, they send it to you. You're a lender. All of a sudden, you are financing that building. Condo associations don't like to release information. It's very challenging for them because they realize some of the difficulties, some of the challenges it can create. And also, too, don't overlook the power that condo board members seem to have. Hence the name Condo Commando. So they don't like to put that information out. But we think we have a way to go forward and be able to evaluate condos by after condo throughout the tri-county area and ultimately the state of Florida, and who knows where else it could go. Miami-Dade County puts out some information that's readily available about the condo associations. Unfortunately, it's the only county in the state of Florida that's doing so. Because of that, it makes it a little bit challenging strictly to rely on Miami-Dade County's approach. So what we have done and we are perfecting is going to give you a model in which you can go ahead and evaluate condo association. Condo association. That's what we're up to. That's what we are doing this summer, and club members will get access to that. Condo Ratings Agency is what it's called. So let's go ahead and let's get into what happened this week in the South Florida Condo Association Financial Cliff Index. For short, we call it the Condo Cliff Index, basically. So you got two categories. You got your overall category, and then you have your vintage category. Vintage category is 30 years older. Why are those buildings important? Well, increasingly, depending on the county you go into, it's going to represent 82% of the marketplace. A place like Miami-Dade County to be about 50%. A place like Broward and Palm Beach County, 82% of the marketplace is going to be vintage. That's what we call it, vintage, 30 years older. So we're tracking that. Also, too, another interesting tidbit, and I'm kind of looking at the data here, and I am going to show you guys some charts. Just kind of looking at the data here really quickly. It looks like if you go ahead and you take a look at what's going on in the pricing-wise, if you were to chase a vintage condo, it's about 38% cheaper than the overall condo market. So what does that mean? That means if you go after a vintage condo, and let's say that vintage condo has had its mandatory inspection, and there's two of them. There's one called a Structural Integrity Reserve Study every 10 years, and there's one at year 30 called a milestone inspection. If that building has had its inspection done by a licensed architect, licensed engineer, the report was done, there was a dollar amount that was basically assessed and applied to all of the repairs that were identified by the experts, then turned over to the condo association. Condo association's now got a year basically to collect the cash, or depending on how they spread it out, from unit owners, or they can go ahead and they can get a loan from a private lender to go ahead and pay for the work that's necessary. 2026, it is mandatory. They have to start to fund the work that's been identified by experts. No longer are they relying on that retiree who moved down from New Jersey, used to own a roofing company, and they're going up on the condo, the roof and telling everybody, don't worry, it's fine. Now there's actually a process to the whole thing. And as a result of that, that is leading to rising costs and maintenance fees. It's including also leading to hefty special assessments. And don't forget the pricey insurance. All of this came about because of what happened nearly 5 years ago. June of 2021, you had a collapse on the Barrier Island in a town or a village. I always go back and forth. I can't remember which one it is. Nearly 100 people died. The Champlain Tower South, it went down. Nearly 100 people died. There was $1 billion settlement paid out to the family of the victims. The legislature, at the lobbying of the insurance industry, passed a bunch of different measures to try to ensure this thing doesn't happen again. And the inspections were part of it. And so was the concept of transparency. The state is moving gradually towards transparency. If they were going to be completely transparent, everybody would be able to figure out what's going on with these condo associations. But it's getting closer. It's not there yet, but it's closer. Hence, Condo Ratings Agency, something we thought about back in 2009, 2010, 2011 type of period. But anyways, if you look at that and you look at what's going on in the marketplace, you got to understand location, which is the realtor mantra. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the age of the building, because every 10 years, I would just assume you're going to be getting hit with a special assessment. It's just inevitable. Every 10 years, you'll be getting with a special assessment. If your building is newer, When you hit year 30, you're getting a big special assessment. Our best guesstimates at this moment of time, if your building's up to 4 stories, you should consider that special assessment would be about 25 grand per unit. And if your building is between 5 and 14 stories, probably plan on $65,000 a unit. And then if 15 stories or north or more than that, it's going to be at least $100,000 special assessment. That's what is driving a lot of people to head for the exits. Coming into the winter buying season, which just ended last week, winter goes from November through April. That's the time when people come to town. They come for an event, they come for vacation, they come for a cruise. They catch the bug. All of a sudden, they start thinking about buying a condo down here, maybe in South Florida. They kick the tires, they look around. If they are fortunate enough to get a place under contract, by the time they close it, it tends to be right now, the summer buying season. So the way I want you to think about it is the winter you shop, the summer is when you close traditionally. And the period we're going into now, which is going to be the heat, the humidity, and hurricane warnings, that typically thins out a lot of the would-be buyers, except for those who are really data-driven and looking for a discount. They tend to be the ones that are kind of, hanging out, looking for sort of those deals. Why? Because you see the number of buyers in the marketplace, it simply just disappears. Nobody's thinking about coming to South Florida. They're all thinking about going to North Carolina. They're thinking about going, the mountains of North Carolina, up at Asheville. Maybe they're thinking about going to Canada. They're going to Europe. They're going to the Hamptons. They're not coming to South Florida. Heat, humidity, hurricane warnings. That's why. And as a result of that, you tend to see a little bit of a shaking out of the market, a little bit of a variation in the market. And that's what we're doing with our index. We're trying to track what goes on and, what's up, what's down, things like that. And it seems as if, and this is something we felt coming, it seems as if the market has probably peaked in the Tri-County area. And now it's, just the beginning stages of what could be a pullback in this overall marketplace. We would expect pending sales to probably fall as we go forward. And then what you probably also start to see is you'll see the number of listings coming off the market. Now, why are they coming off the market? Because many of these people have an idea of what their condo is worth. At least that's what they think it's worth, because maybe they bought in 2021, 2022, 2023, when you could work from home. We all remember that. Remember that? You didn't have to wear a mask in Florida. A lot of other states, they had mandates. You had to wear that mask. Now the only people wearing masks are the immigration people, where they grab people, they throw them in the back of a van, and then they disappear them. No, back then, during the pandemic, you had to wear a mask, and the state of Florida said you don't have to wear a mask. A lot of people moved down here from Silicon Valley. They moved down here from Wall Street. And what also happened, you had the Zoom effect. You had people working from home. So this seemed like just the perfect situation until things sort of changed. And now the way it's changed, you have a lot of people who are back up on Wall Street, back up on Silicon Valley, and they're trying to rent out their place. And unfortunately, they're upside down. I did a podcast last week with a developer. He was putting up a rental project. He's been building here since 2002 in South Florida. He decided in midstream to dump the rental idea and ship towards condos. I asked him why he was doing it. Is the market for condos that strong? He said, no, but I got a better chance. I got a fighting chance. On the rental side, he feels as if because of all the real estate investment trusts that put up a ton of product, he feels as if the rental market is basically going to be going into a very challenging situation for the foreseeable future, which is basically advantage tenants and disadvantage to the owner or the landlord.